What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Today we're doing a regionals guest review. And what's your name, sir?
I'm Sam Chen.
All right. And for those who don't know, he's actually the guy who piloted Reikyu Electric to top 4 in Philadelphia, and now has piloted another crazy deck to top 4. So congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. So like always, why did you decide to play this deck? Like the night of, like what made you decide to play like Carbink Break?
Night of, more like day of. No. So I go to San Jose. I was convinced I'm going to play Raikou Eels again. I guess I had been trying some weird stuff that like none of it has worked so far. So one of my friends, actually, JP, Jonathan Perenata, he was testing Zygarde Carbink the night before, and it just like wasn't very good. It was like not great against Eviltal. It was losing to Trevenant. And so, I was like, all right, I'm probably just going to play Raikou Eels with some spicy techs. But I get to the event, and I actually see Russell Lepar from someone's PC. And we're pretty good friends, so he shows me this like spicy list. I was sort of joking. I was like, what are you playing? I'm just going to play it. And then I see this Carbink Zygarde list. I had no idea he was working on it. But it just included 4 Max Potion, 4 Focus Sash, 4 Puzzle of Time, and 4 VS Seekers, and then 2/2 of Pokemon Center Lady and AZ. So basically a third of the deck, 20 out of the, and I guess if you could consider computer search, so like more than a third of the deck is stuff to help you heal or to find or recycle healing cards. So I'm like, all right, this fixes the main problem of the deck, which was like it was very squishy against Eviltal and Dark. And so I didn't have the cards I needed to build the deck, so I actually came downstairs with like only a couple decks in my backpack. And so I like ran back to the hotel and like went upstairs. This was after the check-in, and then I sprinted down. I face planted in the lobby on the way back, just carrying like a bunch of cards because I tripped over like the edge of the carpet. And then we went back and I just sort of built this list. I bought out the store of their Carbink breaks, and then like during the player meeting, I was like walking around asking people to buy Zygardes, and so we ended up finishing the deck. So the hardest card to find, which I was thankful that I already had, was Magnetic Storm. It's not a stadium that everyone carries around, so I actually had exactly 2 copies in my binder.
Now, did the real list play more than 2 or only 2?
No, I played 2. Exactly 2. I joked with people. The Magnetic Storm is like, it's a card you carry on with you because like, oh, this effect is not horrible. Like theoretically, it could be used some point. But like I've kept in my binder and like carried it around for like 4 years or however long Furious Fist has been out, or I don't even know what set it's from.
Flash Fire.
It's a Flash Fire, so however long Flash Fire has been out, it's been in my binder, just sitting there. I was joking with people that it's like the condom you keep in the glove compartment of your car. It's like in theory you're going to use it at some point, but who has ever actually used it? Well, here we are.
It's a lovely story right there. I like how both like your top 4 deck explanations are like the same exact thing almost.
Yeah, like I truly feel it's more important to have a good list than to know the list, know how to play the list. There's very few decks that are like tricky to play in the format, are like so tricky to play that you need to practice with it. I think Groudon is one of them. Even like mostly Groudon, right? Because Groudon you need to be very precise. Even a slight misplay could be punished because you have limited resources. Like there's no way to get items back except Puzzle of Time. So like your 1 Super Potion, your 1 or your 2 Enhanced Hammers, whatever you play, need to be
Play precisely.
You basically need to conserve your resources. I guess Vespiquen is also a hard deck to play because of like you need to manage your resources, but I think there's no really other deck that's like too difficult to play in the format. So it's actually more important to have a good list than to have tested the list.
And luckily Russell was there to save you.
Russell was there to save me. Russell Russell coached me through all the matchups, like especially day 2. I like hit some matchups, and like as I was like playing into play on stream on round 13, and I was playing Trevenant for the first time. I hadn't played it, and like basically as we were walking in the stream, like I yell at Russell to like tell me, like give me this matchup, and he goes on and on. I'm like, give 10 seconds, like I'm about to play. Like and so yeah, he gives me the 10-second version of how to play against Trevenant.
That's good. All right. So how did day one Swiss go?
Day one Swiss started terribly. I was paired against a Greninja round one. This is a relatively new player. He's a great guy. Sorry, I don't have his. I didn't write out a full report this time, so
that's fine.
I don't have. Don't remember people's names. But I was playing against Greninja, and Greninja's like an auto loss, right? Because actually, anything that can break your focus sash is an auto loss, or is like a bad matchup. Yeah, he was a relatively new player. Like I don't think his list was optimal. I think at one point he asked me if he could rare candy. The turn of Pokemon came into play, and like he wasn't sure like if Rough Seas healed 30 from everyone or just like one Pokemon. But I think he was a nice guy, and he had basically just said giant water shuriken a couple times, and then I like just roll over and die. Yeah, I really had no way to one-shot a Greninja break except through Land's Judgment. But then I need to recycle Land's Judgment. So like in the beginning of the game, I can take prizes and kill a couple of Greninjas, but near the end of the game, once he kills my Landorus is also weak to water, which is really bad. If I can't find the 8Z that turn, then I just sort of lose momentum, because the other way to one-shot a Greninja break is to get 4 strong energies on a Zygarde EX, but it's hard to do that.
That's true.
Yeah, I lose O2 pretty quickly. Yeah.
At least you help somebody.
Sorry?
At least you help somebody.
Yeah. So I didn't think the day was going to go well. Round 2, I played against I think his name is Seth Kovitz. He's Eli's father, and he played Vialbox. I think Eli and Seth have top 8 at regional. I think they both top 8 at the same regionals last year. I don't know if they were both playing Vialbox, but I know Eli loves Vialbox, and so that's what I assumed his dad was playing. He was actually playing with 2 Regice and 1 Cobalion EX, which made it difficult. Those are the only cards in his deck that can actually, except Bioplume, that can actually hit Carbink. And so, Regice is particularly annoying because it can use Ice Beam and just not freeze, but paralyze you for a turn. I have difficulty healing because I don't have access to any of my max potions or focus sashes or anything under lock. So I think like game 1, he actually starts. He's not exactly sure like what build I'm playing, and so he starts off with Jolteon and Flash Raise me until because I struggle to find Carbink Break. Eventually, get a Carbink breakout. He tries to switch to Glaceon, and then eventually like he draws in his Cobalion EX. Maybe I think he could have. Maybe he could have actually waited a turn to get Trainer Lock so that he could find his own Cobalion and Regice. And because I guess he didn't know, a lot of my trainers are actually useless on turn 1, like VS Seeker, Puzzle. Like I play 4 VS Seeker, 4 Puzzle at a time, 4 Sash, 4 Max Potion. Those are essentially useless on turn 1. So maybe he could have waited a turn and just gotten his better attackers out. But it was sort of a back and forth game. I'm eventually able to play around all of his Pokemon. He uses Cobalion to break. Basically, Cobalion Steel Bullet can hit Carbink Break, but so he does 100 and he like knocks one out, I think. But eventually, I'm able to get enough energy on a Landorus, just Land's Judgment, and knock out the Cobalion EX. So I also end up loading like 2 Strongs on a Carbink Break, so I can Diamond Gift Regice for a 2-hit KO. So basically, yeah, I have enough time to find enough Carbink Breaks, and sort of game 1 takes 40 minutes. It's like really slow.
Yeah.
Game 2 just never really has a chance to finish. Round 3, I play against someone I guess from California. She was playing Evital Maxis, but not the version that's current. She actually played the one from a couple years ago that ran 4 Hypnotoxic Laser. And Hypnotoxic Laser is not fun for me because it also breaks the sash. And she also ran the Darkness Blade Eviltal. which is bad for me because it does 100 damage.
Yeah.
So basically, her entire deck was bad for me, and game one I approached the matchup in the wrong way. I was sort of learning how to play the deck. What I should have done is I should have immediately just went aggro for Landorus and tried a Land's Judgment. Because Land's Judgment with 2 strong energies, if you discard all your energy, does 190 damage, which plus resistance, or subtracting out the resistance and adding the Fighting Fury Belt, the 170 damage is like perfect math on a baby Yveltal with a Fighting Fury Belt. So I didn't do that game one. She was able to exert enough pressure that I sort of ran out of Carbink breaks, and there was a turn that I was digging for it. I Junipered, but didn't get it, or sorry, Sycamored, but I didn't get it. And so I ended up being unable to accelerate, and it's just went downhill from there. Game two, I got a lot smarter with the matchup. I ended up just going for that huge Land's Judgment play. So turn one, I created for Landorus and started attaching to it. So I was actually able to kill all of her non-EX attackers. She got Gallade out at some point in the game, but I was able to enhanced hammer the DCE, slow her down. I think at some point I 4-shot the Gallade just with Carbinks, because I didn't really have a Zygarde to attack it, and then I 4-shot the Gallade with Carbinks, and then she was eventually just out of VS Seeker, so she couldn't get another Gallade, and she was out of Baby Yveltal, and I sort of just play a lot of Delinquents and Decker. And so there's no time for game three to game three. I think a couple turns into game three, the time is called, and so. I think it's definitely with laser, it's unfavorable for Zygarde and Carbink. Round 4, I played against Volcanion, because that's a real deck and expanded. Which is also not the most favorable matchup because they have Baby Volcanion to hit Carbink break. I actually think he played the matchup a little bit incorrectly. He wasn't breaking my sashes. He does need 3 discards to break my sash with the Baby Volcanion. He could have tried to power up its second attack. I forget what it's called. Power Artillery, is it?
Steam Artillery.
Steam Artillery, yeah. It's Power Heater and Steam Artillery, that's right. So he could have tried to Steam Artillery with a Fighting Fury Belt, but I think his baby Volcanion that he got 3 energy on, it did it once, and then I sort of just used Land's Judgment, just one-shot it, go through the Fighting Fury Belt. And so I think he ran 3 Baby Volcanion and 1 Entei. Entei didn't really do much because I don't think this deck ever keeps more than 3 Pokemon on the bench. That's actually another nice thing about this deck against Yveltal is that both their stadiums don't really affect you because you don't mind. I don't think I've ever really had more than 3 Pokemon on the bench except for turn 1. Maybe I wanted a Shaman, and Silent Lab doesn't affect Carbink Break because it's an evolution.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Volcanion. Basically, game 1 I ended up decking him. I just ended up cycle 3 Carbinks through. I decked him in game 2. I was on my way to decking him, but I think he just scooped. Okay. Basically, the matchup is basically you need to get Landorus out and with a sash on, so they can't one-shot the Landorus with their Volcanion EX, and just use Landorus. Land's Judgment, pick it back up with AZ, put it on the bench, and get more energy on it. Land's Judgment. You just need to kill all their non-EX attackers.
And for those who don't know, when he says break the sash, he's not talking about doing damage and then next turn killing it. He's talking about hitting it all the way to discard the sash.
That's right.
Yeah. Just in case people don't know.
Yeah, that's right. Because thanks for the clarification.
Yeah.
Because when 4 max potions, so if you ever just do 90 damage to Carbink, the focus sash actually isn't discarded. And so I can just use max potion on Carbink, or retreat Carbink, use max potion, and then diamond gift to the old one. So it's I've just healed the Carbink. Yeah. So it's actually pretty important that you go you do 110 damage to Carbink break when you're attacking it. Round 5, I play against Bronzong Aegis/Cobalion. He has actually 2 ways to hit me. Cobalion EX can hit me, and he plays Muscle Band, so that's actually really bad. Because he can break my sash very easily. Yeah. And Bronzong, surprisingly, is a good attacker. It's one of his only attackers against Carbink Break. The good thing about Bronzong is that it only does 60 damage. So I can actually use Pokemon Center Lady to heal off the Bronzong damage on Carbink. Whereas I'm two-shotting the Carbink, or two-shotting the Bronzong as long as I have a strong energy. And the game's actually pretty close because he runs Hex Maniac, and Genesect DX can also one-shot. Basically, all of his attackers can one-shot my Carbink Break. His Aegislash can one-shot my Carbink Break. And playing around Aegislash was actually quite annoying. I had to... I had to do plays where like I retreated the Zygarde, discarding 2 Strongs, because I couldn't hit his Aegislash for enough with strong energies on it. The game actually comes down to, in the end, I think I end him at some point. He has 1 VS Seeker left for Hex Maniac, and he has 1 prize left. I have 2 sashed Carbinks, or Carbink Breaks. Well, I think what he needed to do was he needed to use an attacker to break the sash completely, because I was out of sash, and then, like, also then kill that same Carbink. But I delinquent him with 3 cards in hand and discard his last VS Seeker, and so he has no way to do enough to kill to take his last prize. And I deck him, basically. Or he would have decked, but he ended up scooping to go to game 2. But game 1 took literally 45 to 50 minutes, and time was called as we were shuffling for game 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was so interesting story that we actually got quite a crowd there, because it was I guess it was a game that took a long time. But he had actually declared that he wanted to go first for game 2. So game 2, he's going first. So I actually started Shaman on my bench, despite having other Pokemon, because I just needed to prevent him from like benching me out. So I actually started like Carbink, and I saw the Shaman in my hand. I initially didn't play it down, and I realized, wait, he only has 2 turns. Put that Shaman down on the bench. And so he just couldn't win in 2 turns. So then... Yeah. The only situation, I think, one of the only situations where it's right to start Shaman on the bench. Round 6, I play against Lucario Regirock Carbink Break deck.
Okay.
So it's the version. It's like sort of the old version that ran like 2/2 Carbink just to get energy acceleration, but its main strategy is like to get Lucario hitting for a lot of damage. It was basically a Carbink war until I realized when he benched Regirock that he probably only played a 2/2 line. And it's actually really annoying because Carbink, with 2 strong energies and 3 Regirock in play, actually one-shots the other Carbink and breaks the sash. But thankfully for me, I could 2-shot him with just 1 strong energy and Power Gem, or 2 strongs and Diamond Gift. And so thankfully he only ran 2/2 and I ran out. If he ran a 3rd Carbink Break, I think I would have lost. Because Regirock is like really strong. It was essentially Carbink Mirror, the matchup, and like every other card was just for, the EX attackers were pretty irrelevant, except for Regirock, whose ability boosts Carbink's damage by 10 for each one in play. If you ran a 3rd Carbink Break, I think I would have lost that one. I think we only finished 1 game. Game 1 takes like 35 minutes, so game 2 sort of goes more or less the same. We're in the middle of a Carbink war, and it doesn't look like, I think each of us only took 1 prize at that point, and I just time was called. Carbink wars, those are a thing. Carbink Mirror is actually just one of the most dreadful matchups. Another guy who played the Carbink healing list was Paul Young, and he actually was telling me about a mirror match he had with Carbink that I think didn't finish game 1. Because it wasn't Carbink versus the EX Regirock deck. It was 2 Carbink Max Potion decks. And so there was a lot of AZ, like, oh, I'll just set up my Zygarde and take like 3 hits from your Carbink, and then I'll AZ it. That game did not finish game 1, so they tied.
Jeez.
Yep. Round 7, I play against Dark Ratina, which is about as free of a matchup as you can get with this deck. This guy did run, I think his name is Dylan. He ran Dylan Carter. He ran one Baby Eviltal with Darkness Blade. And so it was a little annoying because he started both games, but the strategy is just to use Landorus, one-shot it, pick it up, power up another Landorus, and if he ever is able to, he did actually Super Rod for that same Eviltal in the first game, and I just Lance Judgment it. No, actually, the second time I used Zygarde. Sorry, I used Zygarde and just two-shot it with Cellstorm and then that Land's Wrath. But it's weird because against Dark Tina and even against some Eviltal matchups, it's actually a good trade for you to trade one of your EXs for their Baby Eviltal. Because they don't run that many. They run 2, maybe 3, so if you can kill all of them, then your Carbink can wall the rest of the deck. And then Game 8, Round 8, I play against, I think his name is Brandon Williams. He's playing the Raikou Eels list that I played 3 weeks ago. And unfortunately, Raikou is weak to fighting. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so having played the list, I knew that it's actually really hard to get Raikou to one-shot anything. They need literally, all of the energy all the lightning energy in the deck to one-shot a Zygarde. Yes, you need all of the lightning energy in the deck to one-shot the Zygarde.
Yes.
All 7.
Yeah, all 7.
And so I basically knew, I thought about getting Landorus, but then I realized it's probably best to get Zygarde out. Cellstorm with 2 strongs does 100 damage and heals 30. And so the best thing to do is then have that option available so you one-shot every single Raikou that you're faced with. Because Raikou, if you just use Carbink Break actually struggles to one-shot Raikou, but they can break your Focus Sash. I don't actually know if that matchup is winnable at all for Raikou. Maybe you can play some Seismitoad games, but not certain. It's a bad matchup for Raikou.
Pass with the Shaman, they might win.
Sorry?
You might pass with the Shaman. That's their only chance, I guess.
Yeah, funny you say that, actually. I was actually thinking about maybe Shaman isn't even needed in the deck.
I could see it.
Starting Shaman was actually really bad. I started Shaman quite a few times. Thankfully, all against matchups that were easy to begin with. That's not true. I started against Shaman against Trevenant one game.
That's terrible.
I also started against a Greninja, so I guess no. But yeah, it's I don't know how many times Shaman saved me versus made my life more difficult. I probably wouldn't cut it just because it's consistency. You run that one Ultra Ball for that. Yeah, and round 9, the last round, I knew I could ID with my opponent to get 20 points, and so we did the math prior to after round 8 because I was playing against Eels, so it finished pretty quickly. I did the math, and I knew there was someone who would ID with me to go in, so I was pretty much guaranteed cut at the end of round 8, which was nice. Yeah, round 9, I was actually slated to play a guy playing Mega Gardevoir, so it would have been interesting to see what would happen, but didn't. We were just both tired. We're let's just make cut. Let's do it.
Yeah. Now, going to the hotel that night, could you believe that you just made cut with this deck? Or top 32 with this deck?
I started believing after around 5 that it was possible because Russell, I think Russell was forgot what Russell's record was, but Jeremy was 5-1 or 4-1 after round 5, 5-1 after round 6.
Yeah.
So I was okay, this deck is good. It was all just matchup dependent. There are good matchups and there's bad matchups, and if you can hit Eviltal Maxis or hit Turbo Darks, hit Electrics, then you'll go through. If you hit Greninja and Trevenant, then your life will suck. So, I mean, I did believe, but it's a very matchup dependent deck.
Yeah. I mean, luckily, it didn't seem like there was that many Trevenant that day there.
Yeah, only 3 of them cut, and thankfully I avoided all of them day 1. But yeah, there wasn't that much Trevenant. I just think because Trevenant won, there was a target on its back. A lot of Darkrai Tinas were running Oblivion Wing Eviltal. Eviltal Maxis were ready for it. There were people, I was talking to Keon, and he was like, yeah, I think the matchup's 50-50 depending on how you play it. So I think California is also an Eviltal heavy metagame, always. A dark
true.
heavy game, so Trevenant was definitely played less. It was definitely played less than it was in Philly. I think I got that sense when playing through the tournament.
Okay. So going to day 2, what happens?
Day 2, round 1, I get paired against Kenny Britton, who's playing, of course, the favorite deck, or Ninja. So they were going to stream us, but we convinced them that this was a horrible idea. It was just going to be a murder of Sam Chen on screen, which happened later in the day anyway. But,
Yeah.
But at least that was one of the only matches they could have streamed. But in top 4. But yeah, so round 9 we play. It goes more or less the same. It's not fun. Anything that can break your focus sash. And in this case, I mean, like, you can do 60 to a Carbink break, and then just with Giant Water Shuriken, and then do Moonlight Slash and kill the Carbink. And so,
Yeah.
it's no survivability. None of my healing really works. Max Potion doesn't work if you start the turn at full health and then you die at the end of the turn. So it's basically steamrolling in 2 games. Round 10, I play against Darkrai Giratina. I play against Dylan again from day 1. And it doesn't go well for him. He doesn't draw well either game, I don't think. Not that it would have mattered. He actually had a very explosive turn 1, the first game we played, but he dead drew in the middle of the game. At the end of turn 1, like, he had a lot of things ready to attack, but he didn't run Hex Maniac, so he couldn't touch my Carbink, and it's just sort of like, I eventually just stabilized my board. You spend a couple turns, like when you play the deck, you spend a couple turns. Just if you have Karina, using Karina to get another Carbink and a Sash, or get a Carbink and a Compressor. And so, yeah, like, just slowly set up and ended up winning. Game 2, he just didn't set up very well. And it was pretty quick. It was also, I mean, it was brutal either way. Round 12, I play against another Darkrai Giratina, a guy named Adam. He wasn't playing Oblivion Wing Eviltal. He was playing Mew. Like the Fates Collide Mew, I think it was in Fates Collide. The Fates Collide Mew. Yeah, it actually lets him deal with or have an answer to opposing Gallades, which is interesting. Definitely a good idea. But the problem, the problem is Mew is a squishier attacker than Baby Eviltal. Even though it can one-shot my Carbinks, I have Sash, and I think at some point I only had 3 basic fighting energies on Landorus EX, so I hammerhead Mew, discarding all 3 energies because it had a Fighting Fury belt. And then he has to play Karen to get the Mew back. So I don't think he was Super Rod. And so he just wasn't quick enough to get Mews, and I think he took 1 prize every 2 games. Yeah. Round 13, I play on stream finally. I think they've been waiting to stream me, but like the last couple rounds were just horrific matchups for the stream, and so they're like, all right, Kyle Savehouse is like, all right, we gotta stream you. Here's so you're going to go on stream no matter who you're playing. It turns out I'm playing Trevenant, a matchup I never played before, but Russell gives me the inside scoop on it. You basically want to Cell Storm. That's Zygarde EX's second attack. You do 60, heal 30. The 60 is not important. You do not beat Trevenant by knocking out 6 Pokemon. You beat Trevenant by running them out of resources and decking them. Or you can donk them. Those are your really only 2 outs. And so Cell Storm legitimately could have done 0 damage and just heal 30, and it would still be a decent attack in the matchup. I guess the one advantage to actually knocking out something is that you force them to replace another Trevenant and force them to dig deeper into their deck to find more energies, so that could help with the decking process. So yeah, this is actually on stream. You can watch on Pokemon TCG's Twitch channel. Game 1 goes... I ultimately won in the end, but game 1 was not fun. It's a how long can I survive match. I get Zygarde and Carbink, and I just try to attach energy when I can to Zygarde, and I never am able to set up a Carbink break. What you're supposed to do is like make Zygarde take 180 damage, because they have no way to increase their damage. So if you have 70 HP left, you're never going to die the next turn. So you can just wait to get 180 HP or 180 HP worth of damage on you, and then AZ it, Carbink break, Diamond Gift, back to the Zygarde, and then Cell Storm again the next turn. Never got that combo off. But he has to dig pretty deep for resources at some point. I was actually trying, I knew he was decking out several turns before the commentators were pointing it out on stream. I tried to count his deck and his hand without alerting him that I was actually counting his deck and hand. So I was like just looking at his deck after he was done shuffling, like as I could, to see how many individual sleeves there were, without asking him. Because as soon as I ask him how many cards are left, like, can I count your deck? He's going to know that I need to play more conservatively. So I actually topped. There's one of the last turns of the game. I top deck a Hex Maniac. I'm able to escape rope, bring Carbink out, use Max Potion to heal 180 damage from Zygarde. Like burn a Sash, and I puzzle of time to get an AZ on the top of my deck. And then so when I drew the AZ, I knew he had like 2, 3, or 4 cards left in his deck. I couldn't really tell because he had double sleeves. And so then I count his deck, and it turns out he has 3 cards. I do the math in my head. He needs to end me while playing no other cards just to survive a couple more turns. And so if he ends me, then I'll be end out of my bad hand. So I AZ the Zygarde, play it back down, and Zygarde takes a Silent Fear hit as he knocks out my Carbink. So Zygarde now has 30 damage on it. Take a Tree Slam, 60, so now 90 damage. I take another Tree Slam, 150, and then with no real options in my hand, I pass, and he has no cards left in his deck. So I deck him out with only 40 HP left. So 1 turn, yeah. But that's how you're supposed to win the matchup. It's super unfavorable, I think, for Zygarde. I don't think it's winnable if a Trevenant player knows the matchup very well. Game 2, I get destroyed. There's this thing called Forest Curse, and then I just never draw anything good. He doesn't deck. He just destroys me. He knocks out all my Pokemon. Game 3, he starts Lone Shaman and gets nothing, just never anything. We actually both start Shaman. I have a crazy turn 1 because he mulliganed twice. I get to computer search for Compressor, double puzzle back for Compressor. I have an Ultra Ball to find the Zygarde and an Energy, and I have Sycamore because I compress it for Sycamore and then puzzled for it back. So I think I get rid of every single item in my deck that's not Max Potion or BS Seeker on turn 1. So yeah, that was pretty good. My deck was really thin. So I think it takes 2 more turns. He did top deck an N at some point, but he top deck an N into absolutely nothing as well. And it's unfortunate for him. Yeah, but that so I won, and I'm in round 12. Round 14, I could ID, but my opponent, I had 29 points. I thought 30 would be safe, but my opponent has 28. I got the sweet down card. So I had to play it out for the win and in because he needed to win. I needed to tie. I was playing against a guy named Trevor. He was playing Evil Tall Maxis. I actually lost the first game. He got turn 1 Archeops with Silent Lab out. And he just started evil balling, and I tried, there was a turn where I Karinaed for a Carbink break and a computer search. I didn't computer search for the Hex, because obviously if I got Hex, he would have known. But he knew anyway, that I got those 2 cards, so then if he didn't have it end that turn, I would have gotten double Carbink break next turn, which then changes the game. He does end me. I actually, ironically, get the Hex, but no Carbink breaks. So yeah, that game I scoop. I actually knew I was going to lose, but because I was playing for the tie, I actually waited for that game to go 20 minutes before I scooped, because I think the game finishes, Evil Tall loses in about 30 minutes, and all I needed was a tie. I didn't want there to be a game 3 situation where I could be dunked. So it was either win game 2 and make cut, or just lose and with cut. So game 2 goes a lot better for me. He doesn't have turn 1 Archeops. He has turn 1 Gallade, which is fantastic for me. He also, I think, has to attack with a Fright Knight Evil Tall instead of other options. And Fright Knight Evil Tall actually is really good because even if they Fighting Fairy Belt it, which their own ability shuts off their ability to do 70 damage with Fighting Fury Belt, so you can actually Pokemon Center Lady away the damage without popping your own Sash. So Pokemon Center Lady is actually really good against Baby Yveltal, the Frey Knight Yveltal. He does get Gallade out at some point, but I ended up like 3-shotting the Gallade, just Diamond Gift to another Carbink. He pops my Sash, I retreat Max Potion, Diamond Gift again, retreat Max Potion. And I eventually kill the Gallade. I think he tries for a couple turns to get another Gallade out, because that's really his only other option. But he dead draws at some point. There is some point he had to play his hand down to like 2 cards to try to get a Lysander knockout on something, on a Shaman, I think it was. But then I delinquent him that turn. And he has 0 cards and just never is able to draw to that situation. And so I'm in cut. The strategy is basically with this deck is to avoid Greninja, and you're going to be fine.
I mean, it's still crazy to think about this. Like, you're in top 8 with Carbink Break, like Wailord 2.0 kind of.
Yeah, Grafton actually messaged me that he was like super excited that like this validates everything he's been working on. That it's actually a good deck, and people were thinking he was crazy because Grafton was the first one who was playing Carbink Break. I think he played it at Philadelphia, got like 30th somethingth, but didn't make cut. I don't actually know if I don't remember the exact number he was, but yeah, it was. And I know he's been streaming it on the Chaos Gym.
Yeah,
So I've been lurking in a couple other streams. Yeah. So I'm in top 8, and in top 8 I'm playing against Graham Westby. Sorry. He's playing Yveltal Maxis. Really, really good games. I think he knows more or less what he's doing. This is actually his first top 8, so congratulations, Graham. He tries, he knows he needs to get Archeops out, but he couldn't quite do it before I got my army of Carbinks. I was able, Karina is so strong. If you have it turn 1, you can just find Carbink, and then next turn find Carbink Break. Once I got 2 Carbink Breaks out, it's like his Archeops becomes irrelevant to the matchup. Game 1 doesn't go super well for him, but he's, I think, learning the matchup and trying to figure it out. He has a chance at the end. He takes a few prizes, but I end up using Enhanced Hammer to get rid of the energies on his Baby Yveltals. He has to keep digging to find more DCEs to keep attacking. There was a turn I think he had to get another DCE to knock out my Carbink, because for once I didn't have a Pokemon Center Lady. So he Sycamores into the DCE, but then I had double puzzle, I enhanced it again. He has to keep on digging for more energies. And so I even though at some point he had like a 7-card hand, I just ended up delinquenting him a couple times. Even though he had big hands, the reason being he still had like 5 prizes left. So if I end him, I need him to end into less cards, because he's going to be forced to end eventually. And so by playing 2 delinquents, I basically take 6 turns off the timer. Like every delinquent I play is 3 turns off the timer if the goal is to deck him.
Sure.
And like we get into a stalemate situation where like I'm just diamond gifting, or I'm power gemming for 20 damage on his Yveltal EX as he's stalling and trying to stalling but he's trying to draw into cards to find some way to take his last prizes, and he's just unable to. He was trying to load up a big Yveltal to one-shot the Zygarde. As soon as I do use Zygarde at some point to kill a Baby Yveltal, as soon as I do that, I end up picking up my Landorus EX on the bench, and so I never bench another EX. So he has to go through 3 Carbink breaks, and he's just unable to before he decks out. And so game 2, he actually gets Gallade early, which is really annoying because I don't have a great start in game 2. I do Enhanced Hammer the Gallade. Maybe if he had actually attached Dark to it at some point, I think I would have been in a load of trouble, because he didn't know how bad my hand was. It's actually really hard to tell if your opponent playing Carbink is a good or bad hand, because there will be turns where I literally just play Pokemon Center Lady and then attack. Or like I'll retreat, play AZ, or retreat, play Max Potion, then attack. You can't tell if I'm just holding on to 3 VS Seekers, or like holding on to double Puzzle of Time with a Karina, or if my hand's actually really bad. So I guess if you knew how bad my hand, because game 1 there was literally 5 or 6 straight turns, I played a Max Potion and a Z or a Pokemon Center Lady every turn on a Carbink. And he just couldn't. So game 2, he sends out this Gallade. It starts swinging. It's breaking my sashes. I can't replace it with a Carbink. But I eventually am able to load 2 Strongs on a Zygarde and deal with that Gallade. And then he goes into the Yveltal strategy, where I just go back into Carbink and heal every turn. And I think at the end of the game, time is called. He actually has 1 prize left because I had to bench Shaman EX that game, and so he knocked the Shaman out for 2 prizes earlier on. He had 1 prize left. Time is called, and he does Evil Ball on a Zygarde that I had, and he ended me the turn before as well, but then I drew a Karina off the end and I'm able to Max Potion the Zygarde. And so he has no way to do 200 or 190 damage the next turn. And so he can't win on turn 2 of time. Yeah. Yep. I'm not sure what would have happened. I could have played it a little bit differently if it wasn't turn 2 of time. I could have actually just instead of using getting the Max Potion, I could have computer searched for AZ, just picked it up and make him hit that Carbink somehow for the last prize. So I don't know how it would have gone. He was like short on. He had like 1 VS Seeker left too, so he needed to get Gallade out, but he didn't have enough cards in his hand plus deck to actually get rid of his whole hand and then play Gallade. So I thought about delinquenting him at some point, but that game I actually didn't delinquent on turns I could have, because I wanted to keep his hand size as large as possible. Knowing he had only 1 VS Seeker left, he basically had to use it on N and not Gallade. If I put him in a situation where I delinquent him and he could discard 3 useless cards and get Gallade, he could Gallade N and then maybe I draw dead, and then he has like a 2 or 3 turn timer. But if he can just do damage, two shot the Carbink, he could have won. So
yeah.
You don't always want to delinquent. I wanted to keep his hand large so he couldn't maxis. Yeah. And so we were the last match to finish by a long shot. And top 4, I play against Kenny Britton again. I play on stream again. It's an absolute slaughter. Game 1's actually pretty close. I think I play the matchup pretty well in game 1. You basically start by early lands Judgment. You knock out their Greninjas and Greninja breaks. You try to enhance their splash energy when you can, so that it's harder for them to get another Greninja out. And basically, I had 4 prizes left the last turn, but I am able to kill his Talonflame. And I did end him to 1. And I did have to go into a Bursting Balloon, even though I had the Escape Rope, because I had to kill Talonflame, where you could just Arrow Blitz for 2 cards and dry out of it, essentially. So I kill the Talonflame, and his 1 card is Fisherman, so he gets double Water Shuriken and a Moonlight Slash, and that's game. Out of his maybe 18 card deck or 20 card deck, he gets the 1 Fisherman. It wasn't even a VS Seeker for Fisherman late as his card pile. It was, or actually, it might have been the VS Seeker. No, actually, I think it was the Fisherman. I don't remember exactly, but I just remember he had a Fisherman, and yeah. Game 2 doesn't go much better. Yeah. I was actually joking with the judges that so actually I started with Carbink and I had to Power Gem, and then my hand was bad, so all I could do was Power Gem with a Strong Energy, that Talonflame for 40 damage, and so I actually had to 4-shot the Talonflame with 3 Power Gems and later a Hammerhead. So I was joking with the judges that they can read about my autobiography and read about the time when I had to 4-shot a Carbink on stream and embarrass myself and my family. But yeah, so I lost to that. Lost top 4. So congrats to Kenny for beating me, and also congrats to Mark for winning the whole thing.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, first of all, congratulations. That's fantastic.
Thanks.
Yeah. Did you think it would actually when at what you talked about? You knew day 1, you thought the deck was gonna be good, but did you think you had a potential to win it at a certain point in day 2?
I think after day one, I knew I could. It was completely matchup dependent. If I drew the right matchups in game two, I would make cut. If I didn't, then I wouldn't.
Yeah.
This deck against even like you can't really have a bad start against like Turbo Dark, unless you literally just whiff everything. Like you start Shaman and can't do anything, because as soon as you get one Carbink out, they need a like David Sellen, who also top aided. I don't think he played a 90x attacker. So like against Turbo Dark, if you got like 3 Carbinks out, like you have a lot of time to draw out of bad hands. So it's very matchup dependent.
Okay. Now, would there be any changes you make to the list, or you think it's fine like it was, or?
I would never play this list again because it's not even playable anymore. Promo Giratina comes out, and the new promo Giratina is legal on January 6th, and its ability says that breaks have no abilities. And unfortunately, Diamond Gift is the breaks attack, not the regular Carbink's attack.
Yeah.
So I think, they pretty much printed that Giratina to deal with the Trevenant and Greninja issue and expanded.
And now the
Or to make those 2 decks weaker, but Carbink just got killed in the collateral damage. I mean, if I were to play the entire tournament again,
yeah,
I might have put 1 Energy Keeper Carbink in instead of 4 Safeguard. So do a 3-1 split. The Energy Keeper prevents your opponent from removing basic energy from your basic Pokemon. So it would actually help against Trevenant, because they can't hammer or flare grunt your basic energy, which is, I don't know, pretty good. But obviously, against every other matchup, you'd just rather have the Safeguard one.
That's true. Yeah. Now, so 2 top 4s, top 16, right?
That's it. Yeah.
How many points is that?
I wish I had more than that, but yeah, that's it. I'm at 304 right now.
Jeez. Wish you had more instead of 3 or 4. Seems pretty nice, though, right?
I wish I had more. 304. I think I'm 8th in the U.S. Or 8th in North America right now.
Okay. Now, coming up, what regions are you going to next?
I don't know if I'm going to Dallas. I might have to go now that you are going to give me a deck. The more Squeaky. Promised that before we started this interview.
I'm down to give you a deck the morning of.
Yeah, I'll play whatever you play. If I think it's good, I'll play it. Just show me your list. Yeah.
But what if it's not good? Would you still play it?
No.
Would you at least tell me it's not good? Like, Squeaky, it's terrible.
If I won't play it, then you'll know.
Solid. Oh well.
I'm kidding. Of course, I can't call metagame that well. I'm definitely going to Athens as well. Athens, Georgia. I just booked the flight today. I haven't booked Dallas yet. I'll probably do it tonight if I'm going to go. Booked Georgia today, and Anaheim is actually one of my hometown regionals, so I'm going to go to that.
Oh, okay.
So I'm actually in LA right now, not New York. So
you're just everywhere.
Yeah. Well, my girlfriend's in LA, so we have a place in LA as well. So Anaheim regionals is like 30 minutes away from my house.
Cool.
You can notice that this one's like much nicer. There's like wall art and like an actual sofa.
It's not yours, it's hers.
Well, it's both of ours, but
no. It's all hers.
But at least I had, in my New York house, like the walls are blank. I don't even have a sofa. I have a desk and a chair and a bed.
Not even a refrigerator or anything.
Oh no, Well, I do have a. No, I actually cure my meats with salt and leave it outside in the winter, just like our ancestors did.
Seems good. Yeah. All right. Well, do you want to give it a shout to anybody?
Yeah, shout out to Russell Lepar. Thanks for the great list, dude. Sorry you didn't make it. It should have been you, but you'll win one of these days, Russell. Shout out to Jeremy as well. Jeremy Jallin played the exact 60, I think. I actually don't know if he played Energy Keeper Carbink. So it might have been 59, but essentially he played the exact 60, and Paul Young also played the exact 60. So shout out to those guys for playing the deck, and shout out to Jeremy and Russell for top 32.
So out of 4 of y'all, 3 of the 4 made cut.
Three of us cut, yeah.
So
Paul just had really bad matchups too. Like Paul just got screwed by Tom.
Pay like 5 Greninjas or something like that.
Yeah, he got paired against Carbink Mirror. It was just the worst.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, Sam, first of all, congratulations again. But guys, hopefully you enjoyed this interview. I don't know, it's
Yeah.
cool
You're
every
playing this
time.
deck on Expanded Thursday?
Yeah, oh yeah, today we're playing it right here in about an hour and a half. It's going to be up.
Are you
Expanded.
streaming it?
What's going to be, yeah.
Are you streaming? Seriously, are you streaming?
Am I streaming? No, no, no. Like, for Expanded
I'll watch it if
Thursday.
you stream it.
It's not going to be streamed. Maybe be streamed. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
All right.
Alright. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something new about Carbink Break and the potential of rogue decks. Like nobody thought Carbink Break was a deck, and then this weekend, everybody was
Yeah,
talking about it.
Expanded is weird. I actually, expanded the format. The metagame is pretty set in stone, I would say. There's very little room for creativity in Expanded because of how good the top decks are. I actually think in January, come 2017, Giratina actually gives Expanded a nice jolt because it takes out Trevenant. A lot of decks that beat Eviltal actually lose to Trevenant. And so having a reliable way to shut down Trevenant and shut down Greninja opens up the metagame quite a bit for Expanded, I think. Like, Eviltals can also play, the list that Jonathan Crespo, I know Eric Wallig, who got top 16, he played the exact same list. He got top 16 in San Jose. He played the exact same list as Jonathan Crespo played in Philadelphia. And if you can just put a Giratina in Eviltal, I think Eviltal just not auto win, but it's favorable then for Eviltal, not just a coin flip.
Yeah.
So that could kill Trevenant, which opens up more creativity and Expanded. So I definitely look in Anaheim. Anaheim is also a very dark dominated meta. I totally think that some rogue deck can do well in Anaheim. In Standard, the format's quite concentrated at the top. There's a lot of Eviltal Garbodor, clearly the best deck in the format. So if we saw what Alex Hill did in London, if maybe there's another way. I actually looked through every single electric Pokemon in Standard just an hour ago. There's not much to deal with. There's really not much you can one-shot a baby Eviltal, a Frenite Eviltal with. So
Just got to play Raichu.
Well, they play Parallel City. And
yeah, whatever.
It's Standard. I think room for innovation for Standard. You're just gonna have to play different combinations of the existing Pokemon, like what Dean did in Fort Wayne. Everyone knew about Jolteon, everyone knew, but just playing it that way with Pidgeot, the ability to Ninja Boy into Pidgeot and then Mirror Move for massive damage, things like that. I think there's still room for innovation in Standard, because even though Eviltal is very oppressive, it's the most played deck in the metagame by a long shot. And so you can conceivably play a deck with slightly unfavorable other matchups and just great Eviltal matchup, like Alex Hill did, even though unfortunately he didn't play against a single Eviltal on day 2, and just do well that way. So don't think rogues are dead, although it's definitely, I think, harder to find a rogue now than it was a year ago.
That's very true. Yeah. Well, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thanks, Sam, one more time for doing this interview. I really appreciate it a lot. And
I hope to get to do more, although as I say that, I'm probably just done top cutting for the year. So
yeah, whatever.
Our next interview will be in 3 years.
I wonder if TFK will still be up in 3 years. That's the real question.
That is the real question.
Yeah.
Are you going to Australia?
We'll talk about that here in a second. But guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Alrighty. Bye.
Bye.
Alright, guys. I just want to give a quick shout out to our 3 sponsors, 60 Cards, Yeti Gaming, and the Pokemon Company International. Links to everything will be down below in the description. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Alrighty.